You're listening to Filling the Storehouse podcast. I'm David.
And I'm Stuart, and we want to walk with you on the journey to living the abundant life through faith, family, and freedom. Our goal is to refine our why while helping you find yours. Together, achieve our best and highest purpose. In the end, we'll drive each other to intentionally fill our storehouse. What's up, Storehouse Tribe? Hey, this is Stu, and hey, I just wanted to hit on one of the tenets of this podcast, financial freedom. David and I honestly think that the best way to get to financial freedom is through real estate investing. We've been investing in real estate for quite some time, and one of the coolest things about real estate is the relationships that we are able to create. We basically use partners on every single deal that we do, both in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for our turnkey rental company, and through some of our bigger deals. You know, we've done some stuff, some commercial properties here in Colorado where we live, and we're looking to do more. So if that's something that sounds of interest to you, we'd love to kind of tell you what we got going on, what we're doing. We're looking for more partners. We love building relationships and having, that trust with our partners and the ability to offer opportunities to invest alongside with us. If that's something of interest, hey, reach out to us. We'd love to jump on the phone. We'd love to jump on a Zoom call, tell you what we're up to. You can reach out to us through social media channels. You can hit us up on LinkedIn. You can hit us up on Facebook. Well, hit up me on Facebook. Don't hit up David. You can send us an email. You can go to our website, Storehouse 310 Turnkey, and go to the Contact Us page. Send us an email at podcast@Storehouse 310 Turnkey. Any of those options, reach out. Let's talk real estate, and we'd love to tell you what we're up to. Enjoy this episode. Most importantly, go fill your storehouse. See you. Okay, are you good? Do we need to do anything else for you to be prepared for this podcast?
Please advise. What have you ever done to prepare me for a podcast? I would love to. I think the audience should know, because I too am very grateful and curious on all the preparation that you have provided. So go ahead.
I feed you show notes. I give you topics. I come up with ideas. I come up with our amazing guests. I invite guests to come and stay with me in my house. Hey, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
I apologize. You are amazing.
Hey, I know. Thank you. Let me ask you this. When's the last time that you used an iron?
An iron?
Yeah, do you iron your shirts?
So you have to caveat that, because we do a lot of perler beads in our house. So there's actually a lot of iron using. Okay. You know what perler beads are?
Yeah. I'm talking about ironing like a shirt for you to wear. When's the last time you ironed a shirt for you to wear?
I can't.
And let's go a step further. When's the last time you ironed a t-shirt?
Absolutely 1000%, 0 times, because I'm not my dad.
Well, I did see a picture on the Book of Face of you having a V-neck white t-shirt tucked into some PT shorts. Kind of looked like your dad, dude.
I was getting prepared to clean all the bathrooms in the house, and that's cleaning uniform, but I was not wearing sweats. And that is a key distinguisher between my dad and I. Is he would rock old school sweats with the bunched up ankle, and he'd tuck his shirt every day.
That's awesome. So we have a special guest. This is our 2-time guest today, Marcus Long, and he came in from England. He's staying in my basement for a couple nights, and we're gonna go to the Best Ever conference. And last night he asked for an iron. He was preparing for this show specifically. He wanted to get all dressed up, and I gave him the iron and the ironing board, and I was like, I don't remember the last time I've really ever used an iron. And then he kind of dove into how often he irons and how he likes to iron his t-shirts, because he doesn't like any wrinkles in his t-shirts.
Can't you I don't like wrinkly t-shirts, but if you time the dryer cycle right, you pull it out when it's hot, wrinkles disappear.
In England, the washer dryer system isn't so great, and so it's typically we wash them and pull them out and air dry them so the stuff doesn't get get shrunk. So it's a little,
Yeah.
little difficult, but hey, I was just getting vulnerable and transparent, and how much I like to iron t-shirts and hang them up, based on the color in my closet and short.
Hey, dude, I can't hate on that. My stuff is color coded, and then it's by short sleeve color coded, long sleeve color coded. So I know exactly when I walk in my closet, like I look at my wife's side, I'm like, oh,
you guys are freaking
what,
nerds,
how do you
man.
find
You crippy? You
but
guys
when
are
I walk
nerds.
in my closet, I'm like, hey, today's a t-shirt day. I want blue. Bam. I know where to go. Oh, it's cold outside. You know what? I'm gonna go to this side of the closet. Bam.
Oh, what shade of blue? The lighter shades on the left, darker shades.
Always
on the
light
right?
to dark.
Oh,
Always
You
light to
guys are
dark.
freaking nerds.
But hey, here's another question for you, Marcus. So were you ironing your t-shirts before you went to England? Is England just a crutch you're using as an excuse right now?
I think I used it as a crutch this time because my wife would probably tell you I've been ironing t-shirts for a long time.
That was my suspicion. So I don't appreciate your lack of vulnerability in your vulnerability.
But you were talking about pulling it out of the dryer on time. So in the recent years, that has been but yeah, I've been ironing t-shirts for a long time, and she makes fun of me for it.
Skivvies? You iron skivvies?
I don't go that far. She jokes about it, but I don't go that far.
All right. That's good.
Okay. Well, this is a good.
If you iron and starch your skivvies, you're a real man.
Oh man,
Throw
this
that
is a
out
good
there.
start. This is a good start.
This is great. We're going to talk about fashion because Stuart and I are obviously the
Fashionistas.
Fashionistas with our, I'm sure you probably have a Storehouse shirt on or something similar. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The old school one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I think
And Marcus is over here dressed to the T's, man. He's ready to go. He's ready to raise some money. We're going to go to
That's
Best
right.
Ever Conference today. He's going to start networking and go raise a bunch of money for his deals.
Well, after they hear this and all the ironing and stuff that we do, they'll definitely want to invest with us. So
hey, we're organized enough. Stu aside, we're organized enough to put our t-shirts and our long sleeves in a row. So we will manage your money well.
that's right.
That's right. Well, the last time we had Marcus on, what was probably at least a year ago.
It was a little over, probably. I think it was probably August, September-ish of
Yeah.
That long? It seems like yesterday, man.
like 14.
Yeah,
16
wow.
months.
Yeah, man. And Marcus was just kind of getting going with, with all of his thought leadership platform, a long legacy, and getting all that going. And you've been investing in real estate for a while, but not to the level that you are now. And we were actually having lunch yesterday. We went down to Castle Rock and grabbed some lunch, and we just started having like a really good conversation about real estate and all the deals that he's been doing and stuff that we're doing. And we just kind of started like throwing ideas at each other on, how we've been finding, business partners and raising money and doing stuff with private lenders and doing syndications and multifamily. And since we last talked on the podcast, how many deals have you done? 3, 4 syndications?
Yeah, I've done 3 syndications and 1 multifamily JV.
And
It's awesome,
how many units is that?
Just over 300 units.
Dude, like
Brad.
talk about growth, right?
Yeah. No, I love it. And before we get into the specifics, and one thing I'd like to touch on too, Marcus, is, I think a lot of people I don't want them to hear this and think, hey, let's jump in, raise money, partnerships, all this stuff. It's great. I think the key foundational element of all these efforts, if they, I shouldn't say if they should be successful, this is for us, but I think it's the right way to do it. But it's really the partnerships and in investing in the process of who you're going to partner with, right? I had a very interesting conversation this morning with one of my neighbors, like super awesome dude. We've had him over a number of times. Really high contender for new best friend. And
I was just gonna say, like, hey,
yeah,
man.
too late. Marcus came over to my house also. I want to be clear. Marcus came over for dinner the other night, and he was lamenting the hosting ability of Stuart, and
really?
especially when someone goes to bed at 6:45 at night. He's like, dude, like most normal adults at least stay up and talk until, 9 maybe, but Stu's already 3 hours in bed by then. So
we were in bed about 8:15 last night. So.
I could see the battle for friendship this week, getting invited to dinners and all that kind of stuff. It was strong.
Yeah. But I was having a conversation with this guy, and I think he could, potentially be somebody that we partner with in the future. And he brings a very unique skill set. But one of the things that I told him, like, hey, look, before we even get into that, me and you, Stu, would sit down, we talk through worst case scenarios, we talk through all the things that could go wrong before we start trying to do the things that go right. And and I was emphasizing, even a decision, and I think it's important when you're looking to raise money, especially taking other people's money and trying to do your best to build it. One of the key questions you have to ask is, what happens when we lose money? When the deal doesn't go great, what happens? Do we tell the investors up front, hey, it's investing, it's a risk, or do you say, we will do everything in our power to make you right and to make you whole? It is our number one priority. That nuance is very important. And if the partnerships, dude, there are people that we've talked to, Stu, and that you could think of that 100% would take the former route, right? Hey, you're investing, like everybody lose money. Like you're investing, it's a risk. And then there's the other route that we prefer to be very judicious, very diligent with other people's money. And I think that partnership and those conversations are really key before you ever take a single penny, because something will go wrong. There's things are going to happen that you can't anticipate. And if you could talk a little bit to that, Marcus, I'd love to hear just kind of your process for those partnerships.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great point, Dave. And when I kind of made the transition, so when, going back to talking about the last time I was on and building the thought leadership platform and stuff, and I hadn't even really made the full transition into to multifamily, and stuff at that point. And I was still not 100% certain, what direction the platform was going to go. I had started investing as a limited partner in many deals, and the deals that I invested in as a passive partner, I chose to select people from the War Room Mastermind, that were in there, people that, for other active duty and veterans that I was meeting with on a regular basis. I had, pretty close access to kind of reach out, ask questions and learn from them. And so that's who I chose to invest with personally myself. And, as I kind of built my platform, and a couple of people that were close to me in the war room and stuff, but we were talking about multifamily a lot. And I saw that as a path that I wanted to kind of transition to for a number of reasons. It was kind of right for the things I want to do with my family and the flexibility, the impact we could have on the communities and stuff that we were investing with, and kind of the impact we could have for our investors, whether that's family, friends, and providing them those opportunities. And so that's kind of how I started making that transition into multifamily. And when I did, the very first partnership I did was with somebody that was in my squad in the war room. And so we met on a weekly basis. We talked a lot. You get some good insight. They came to our house. We went to their house, kind of visited together, and kind of saw closely how, they operated and our values. And we did have some of those kind of discussions, when I approached them a little bit to potentially do a deal, and kind of asked here are some of my skill sets and stuff. I'm a finance major, I like, spreadsheet type stuff. I've had this background of real estate, even though not in multifamily. So looking at some of the property management stuff. And one of the things they had asked was about the brought value was the capital raising and stuff. And so we talked a lot about that. And, talking about the losing money in aspect, one of the things that, and there's various degrees of, you can lose really bad, you can lose little, all kinds of things. And one of the things that I really like about my partners on a different deal, they weren't able to do distributions as early as they had hoped to. And they kind of, forwent their asset management fee until they were able to pay the investors the distributions, right? And so the deal isn't doing bad. It's just taking a little bit longer to get to where they want to, and they chose not to take the asset
huge,
management
man. I don't want to just skirt over that. That is a huge discriminator, and it's also, that is an intentional decision, right? That is, how are you going to honor and look at other people's investment? And more importantly, so it's not the money part's easy. It's a wire. Then it costs you $20, right? It's the emotional and the trust investment in you and your partners and who you are, to know that, and for them to be transparent and say, hey, we're not going to get paid till you get paid. Like that is a big deal. And
Yeah.
not everybody does that, dude. Not everybody does that.
100%. I think that, I think for their investors and for me as a partner and stuff, that builds a lot of trust. And, when the deal catches up and gets to where they want it to be, then they can get paid appropriately. But for them to make that intentional decision, I think was pretty strong and built a lot of trust with me on top of what I already had in them.
And we were talking yesterday about one of your, you have a triplex going on, like a flip in Kansas City. You do the multifamily syndication stuff, but then you're also doing some other stuff too. And he was telling me about him taking some money, and Dave, you and I have gone through this experience of the rehab taking longer than expected, and coming up on the due date of the note, with your private lender. And you could go a bunch of different ways with this, right? Like you can be like, hey, sorry, deal's going south, I don't have your money. Or, hey, let's extend it. But what did you do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm approaching the end of the hard money loan, and my notes were coming due, and ended up paying all my investors out of pocket. So, I could have extended it, tried to wait for the refinance and stuff for that to happen, but ended up paying over 6 figures out of pocket. And eventually I'll refinance, get some of that money back and stuff. But I think that's another important thing. When you're doing this stuff, there's that risk, and you got to make sure that you have the reserves and stuff in place so that you're in a position to make that decision and do the right thing.
Yeah. And I think that, so Stu and I made that decision before we did a deal. Right. And I think it's important. And so we're also in a position, we're waiting right now for a refinance. We're in a position where, and I think I think a lot of people aren't transparent about it because we're afraid that our investor is going to be like, well, how'd you get in this position? Right. And why? And I'll tell you, man, I think that from my experience, most people probably get in this position, and it's just what you decide to do. Right. And so Stu and I decided the same thing. We both put quite a bit of money, and it's not money that like, because we made a ton of money. It's like, I'm borrowing against my life insurance policy.
Yeah.
To ensure that people are paid off. And then the only people that are in a tough position are us, but we also are in a position that we have the properties that are going to refinance, and we have the ability to do things with it. But a lot of times it's just, and it's hard, but you just do it. Right. And then you just pray that that decision and you honoring other people will, that they'll see that you honored them, and then you can continue to do things. And that's it's been relatively transparent to most of our investors, but a few times it's been like, hey, or you borrow money to pay off borrowed money, and then you recoup it, and you do that thing, right? You don't want to get in the habit of that, because that's a dangerous trap to get into. But as long as your business plan is sound, a delay could cause you to go into that thing, right? But as long as your business plan is sound and you have the ability and the plan to pay it off, I think it's all good. But it comes down to honoring other people's money. Because you can make the choice to be like, hey, dude, the property's not done. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, that is a viable, legitimate ish argument. Yeah. But
it's definitely a conversation. Like I closed on that property in February of 2020, right? Like, I didn't know, the impacts of COVID and stuff like that, like many others. And so as we got into it, the rehab took a lot longer. Supplies were taking a lot longer to get. We had contracting teams that were out with COVID. We had to bring new people in. It was taking longer and longer. And as I approached the dates, I just this is something you have to have that conversation. And some of them might be perfectly open to, hey, yeah, let's do it for another 3 months, another 6 months. But as I approach, we're wrapping it up now, and it's almost 12 months since we started that transition from a single family to a triplex there. And I wasn't interested in extending beyond that point. Maybe it's from 6 to 9 or something, but it's just a conversation you have to have. And ultimately, I just decided to pay it out of pocket and make it hurt for myself a little bit for a couple months until it gets refinanced.
Yeah, and so there's this transition of kind of doing your own deals to kind of growing and scaling, and at some point you have to start using other people's money, in your syndications and using private lenders. And a lot of us in the war room, we kind of talk about building this like thought leadership platform and getting to know people and using time. And you're over in England, and we were talking about how just some of the stuff that you're doing to just to connect with people and get to know people, and really like dive into adding value to other people first, before you even like throw the idea out of partnering and stuff like that. So if you could, man, like we were kind of going back and forth about just ideas. Let's talk about some of the stuff that you're kind of currently working on.
Yeah, I'll throw a few things out there and stuff, and then feel free to stop me, jump in, or ask questions. And I think building that thought leadership platform in the first place was really awesome. And I even was hesitant to do it. You guys kind of challenged us within the war room and stuff to do that, and I was kind of hesitant, thinking hey, we're all writing the same things or sharing the same things on podcasts, but we I was kind of encouraged by some others, but like, we have different circles, right? And so while in our circle, we sometimes think we're all talking about the same things, those that are watching us, our family, our friends and stuff, don't necessarily see everybody. So we impact different people. And so, first of all, just the encouragement to do that and to build that. And I think whether it's a website, whether it's a podcast, something like that, like the website's been awesome. I built that. And like, then when you start to have conversations with people, they can kind of go there and learn more about you, and kind of there's a level of credibility there, not just you talking and stuff. But so I built that. And then, kind of the one way, I mentioned earlier about one of the things some of my initial partners talked about was the ability to bring a certain amount of capital to a deal would provide value to them. And so one of the first things that I did is I was like, okay, I need to build, an investor list and stuff. And so a lot of my friends and things had known, family and stuff, knew I was done real estate, single family stuff for a long time, but I had to make them aware of kind of the transition that I was doing, the multifamily, and that in that transition, there was more of an opportunity for them to be a part of it as well, and for them to invest. And so one of the first things I did was just kind of like start reaching out to people, went through my Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, stuff like that, and just kind of sent some messages like, hey, how you doing? And kind of a personalized thing, reconnecting with some of them, kind of let them know what I was working on, the transition. And, if you know anyone that's interested or like to learn more about that, I'd love to connect with them and stuff. And so, in some cases, some of them are interested in learning, and sometimes they have others that they want to connect because they don't know. They don't even know that that's a possibility or an opportunity for them sometimes. So that was one of the very first things I did to kind of try to get that investor list going. And then
before you move on to that, real quick, I'm curious because you said something that where we're going to pick back up is you getting that that investor list going in your efforts there. But was there a significant mindset shift for you when you transitioned from basically asking for money versus offering an opportunity? And if you could talk through, like, because I know you said something, you said a lot of times they don't even know. And I think that's a huge, excuse me, I think that's a huge thing that we need to really understand, is that just because we hang out with a bunch of people doing real estate investing doesn't mean that's normal, or doesn't mean that most people are doing that or have ever even been, excuse me, exposed to this thing that we're doing, real estate investing, like, money, financial literacy, period. And so if you don't mind, like, was there a significant shift that got you to realize, like, for me, it was a light bulb. When you said it, it's a light bulb. I'm like, you know what? People don't know. So when you expose them, you give an opportunity, not only are you going to enrich them by they take an interest and they learn, but also you're going to literally enrich them by earning money and just their life in general and being exposed to something different. So how did you do that? Because I think it's a hang up. I've been having conversations with a lot of people, and analysis paralysis is very, very real.
Yeah, I think that's a really difficult transition for a lot of people to go from the, quote unquote, asking for money versus providing an opportunity. I think it was a little bit easier transition for me because of I've always been pretty enjoyed providing education, and particularly like financial education. Like, I'm a finance major, and some of it's on like personal finance and stuff, but I love, helping others. I know that is not something that's taught well in our school systems and things like that. And so I've always, loved giving time and devoting that to, like, helping others and educating to the extent that I can. And so I think over the past couple of years, within some of these groups, masterminds, things, and the events that I've gone to, and, kind of heard people talk about that, like, for me, that was not a big challenge to make that transition and understand, that I have this ability to provide the people around me, in the single family space. And you can do it in the single family space too. My brothers and I kind of, bought the, rentals and things like that using our own money for the most part, and hadn't leveraged other people's money or provide them those opportunities. And so as I was making this transition, like that made sense to me. But in the groups I see a lot of people really struggle to make that transition and understand. And, also I think that was an important part about, as we get into like the, building an investor list and stuff, as having a larger investor list, is because when you do get a deal, an opportunity available, you want people to already be educated. You want them to be ready to invest. And this is it's a long conversation, right? This doesn't happen over like 1 or 2 phone calls necessarily. And so you need to start early in this process and helping them understand and educate them, because the last thing you want to do is have a deal and not have the investors there to support it, because then you do come across as like, asking for money. You start to get desperate and stuff, right? And so you need to do that education stuff on the front end, and they're ready to invest. They trust you, and they're ready to invest in the deal when it comes along.
That trust piece, right? Because the first initial investment in education might be important. And Stu, you could talk to this, dude, with all the people that you talk to, because Stu does a great job of, we do independent things, and we're business partners doing the same thing, but we do independent conversations, different things, right? And one thing I've always been impressed with Stu is, I may have a follow-up conversation with somebody, but it's that trust, the speed of the deal after that is like, let's go. Like, or they're calling you like, hey, you got another deal. And a lot of the folks that, I think Stu is a much better educator than I am. Like he loves that piece of it. I'm more like I don't know. I don't really know what I bring to the table, but it's just different. Right. And I'm always impressed when Stu gets somebody before I get to him, like just where they're at from that conversation. It's a definite skill that both of you guys have, which is incredible. And then that trust makes the speed of the deal go quick.
Yeah, I think, and 2 like super quick examples based on that is, in my most recent deal, I had a previous investor. They signed up and put in an investment request in the portal. Hadn't had a conversation with them about that particular investment, right? They'd seen the investment summary, they'd experienced going through the process with me before, and they were ready to invest without really having a conversation. So I reach out and, make sure they're good and stuff. But there, that kind of, when you spend that time up front, it kind of carries on through other deals. And right now, the current one that we're working on is a 506c, right, for accredited investor stuff. So I have a bunch of investors that are not accredited yet. And as soon as they saw that one come out, they're kind of banging on the door, about like, hey, when's our next deal going to be available and stuff. So, to your point and stuff, when you spend that time, and sometimes it does take some time up front, but when you do it correctly, you'll have those repeat investors later on.
What I think is also kind of interesting is, alonglegacy.com, for the most part, your thought leadership platform, it isn't necessarily like multifamily real estate. It's
Right.
about personal finance, teaching your kids about financial literacy, creating that legacy for your children. And, and I've taken some of your stuff, and implemented it into our family strategy with as far as like, teaching my kids about how to handle money and stuff like that. And what's cool is, and it's interesting is, such a close topic, but not necessarily investing real estate, multifamily syndications, but you can kind of build this thought leadership platform on that topic, and that builds that trust. People get to know you, and people get to know that you're a good dude, and that, you're super interested in being, financially savvy with your kids. And then you can take that and then be like, hey, also,
That's right.
I invest in real estate. Are you interested?
Yeah.
I have an opportunity.
Yeah, as I mentioned, like when I built the platform initially, I wasn't, a general partner on the multifamily stuff. And so over time, we've added our portfolio on there. We've added the opportunity for people to go and sign up to invest with us. But the base of, the homepage and all that other kind of stuff is more about personal finance and stuff like that. So I get a lot of comments and stuff too, as people go there. I have it redirected, kind of talked about this yesterday, my Calendly and stuff like that redirects to the website. And so sometimes people will sign up to a call gets redirected to the website. And by the time we actually have the phone call, they'll say, hey, I spent some time on the website, and they really get to know me, as a person and like what I'm about and stuff, even more so than just like, me as a general partner in multifamily, but me as a person and, what I want to do with my family.
We're having mic issues. David's telling me to move the mic, and now I drop it, and now it's moving all over a sudden.
Drop the mic.
Yeah, I'm dropping the mic.
And to be completely clear with our audience, I said move the mic or use your man voice. And then I also suggested he put it on mute before moving it. But anyways,
I can't put it on mute because he's sitting here talking right next to me.
No, when I'm about to ask a question, I got your back, dude. Hey, but I do think you hit on something really good. And so putting yourself out there, right? Whether it's a blog or whatever your skill set is, if it's a podcast, if it's a whatever, and just knowing the initial effort is going to be big, you're going to suck and you're going to get better. And it also is a place where people can go, it's an archive where people can go to get to know you better as you grow and scale. And I think the fact that you started the website, that you took action on that, right? And I'm sure when you first started, you were nervous, and you're right. It probably was, compared to what it is now, it was probably garbage. Cause I look back at our first podcast, dude, complete garbage. Like we were so, and I'm not saying they're great now
and still garbage, dropping the mic.
Right. Yeah. They're still garbage, but they're real. But what I will say is when we started, we had our personalities and we were always who we are, but we were nervous. We didn't know what to do. So we like scripted every question. And those first guests, there was always a list of questions, and there was always like a format, and those they didn't flow like they do now. They weren't fun conversations. And now like we have amazing time with every guest that we have, right? It's always fun. But I think the point to all that is do something. Like if you want to raise money, people have to know you cannot effectively raise money on a large scale if you're not putting yourself out some way, putting yourself out there, whether podcasts, going to conferences, networking. But usually it requires starting something that takes you out of your comfort zone and doing it, right? And maybe you find that thing, like, this is not uncomfortable for me. Talking to people is not uncomfortable. So maybe you find that thing that you naturally gravitate towards, and then you can leverage that, refine it, grow skills. Like I don't think I'm a great speaker, but do I have any hesitancy to get in front of a group of people? Zero, right? Like typically not nervous, not really a thing. And I thrive on it. So I'm thinking about going to some speech classes, and how to tell stories and do those things to refine a skill, because I want to be better at the thing that I'm already naturally comfortable with doing. And so I think it doesn't have to be uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be a huge lift, but even if it is, it's much better than going with your hat out all the time, being like, hey, you don't know me, but I got this great opportunity. And they're like, well, how can I find out more about you? Well, like, let's just talk. Well, I don't got time for that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's awesome that you did that. And I don't want to lose the point of people, I just see the mic slowly going up of people, taking a step. And dude, you might fail, but it's still awesome. You'll learn, right? Oh, dude, I suck at podcasts. Like, that's not okay. Maybe I should look at, doing a blog. And there are some huge authors. The guy that I'm brain farting on his name, the Atomic Habits. What's his name? Whatever his name is, I can't think of it right now. A book that we love and was formative for us, but all his stuff started as a blog. I didn't know that until I read his book, but it all just started as him, like, and then he's like, dude, I've got all these followers. Like, I've got 100,000 people reading these things. Maybe I should write a book.
Yeah.
And I think it just depends.
Yeah. I think that's, it's a great point. Like whether it's a website or a blog and things. And I think you're talking about like putting yourself out there and stuff as well. Like, I think social media is another one too, and I know how much you love social media, but like whenever, and there are a lot of negative aspects and stuff, but from a business perspective, I think it's pretty powerful. And I've seen, people, that I'm working around, kind of challenged and struggled to kind of put it out there, whether they have a W-2 and don't want people kind of knowing what they're working on or whatever it might be. But I think it's really important, the consistency, and it doesn't have to be all Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever you choose, and do something. Because, and even if I know when you're first starting, it's kind of hard, right? You don't have this like super awesome, I closed a deal post to share or whatever. It doesn't have to be, start like picking, definitions or terminologies associated with multifamily, or, maybe you went to a conference or a meetup, or maybe you're going to walk a property, do a video, take a picture, show people that you're out there, and be consistent about it. And, when you do close a deal or something, you can, share whatever, but I think just in the past couple of weeks, I've had people reach out to me that I've known for, 10 or 12 years I was stationed with. And some of them I haven't talked to for 5, 6, 8 years. And they reached out and wanted to have a conversation and basically said like, hey, I talked to so-and-so who's also investing with me, and I've been kind of stalking you on, social media, kind of jokingly and stuff like that. But it's like, they might not like your post. They might not comment on it. You're putting stuff out there. You don't think people are looking at it. People are watching, right? And so it's like, if you're going, whatever you're with multifamily or something else that you're raising money for and stuff, like start now. Like, even if you're not ready, to take that money, you're not ready to put it to work, start building, putting stuff out there. So people, because as we talked about earlier, that trust and seeing, like people start seeing it. They're like, oh, okay, so-and-so is working on something. And as you get closer, you grow, just like if you're doing a blog, you're doing a podcast, you get better, your content gets better, and people are watching that.
I would say one other thing we were talking about yesterday is just how like we just need to be ourselves, right? And I was actually on the phone, or we were on a war room call, and Zarina, she's a new war room member. She's overseas right now, and she's kind of getting into multifamily space and learning how to do things. And she had said something. She was like, yeah, people just know me as that Filipino little girl that just talks about real estate all the time. I was like, lean into that. Like, yes, that's you. And don't do anything differently. And, maybe pick your avatar of who you're talking to, but like lean into that, because that's who you are. And don't try to be somebody you're not, because I've also seen the other way around. And we talked about, a few people, like they're trying to be something that they're not. And you can tell, can just tell immediately when they're trying to do something who they're not.
I think, you get into the circles and stuff, and, you see what other people are doing, and you think you have to do the same thing as them and go in that direction and stuff. And that's not who you are.
Dude, that is so important. Like you guys, like that is, and I'll tell you, I've started to enjoy social media more, because when I first started, it was all about getting on there to build the business, right? It's important to have a presence, right? And then when I realized my person, like who I am, people are attracted to who I am, if they're attracted to who I am, and they're also turned off by who I am because of who I am, right?
Yes.
And who am I? Like I'm that, like I can be very serious, and I can do, when it comes time to talk serious matters, I'm very serious and I get into it. But dude, I like to goof around. I like to joke. I like to, when my wife and I have that, the picture I post on Facebook of this stupid outfit, like that, none of that's scripted. Like I put that on, and then like that conversation took place. And then after, like, hey, I'm going to take a picture of this. And she took one last night. Like I was folding laundry, putting away, and she's like, why do you wear these things? But it's just our, like who we are. Right. And then, and so I started enjoying it. Like when Stu and I, because initially I was like before and after pictures, that's not who I am. And I don't I like looking at those for some people, but it's not who I am. Who I am is like the idiot who picks up the blueprints and is like the dangles in the foundational amphitheater. Right.
Yeah, I think that's really important too, because I mean, ultimately, like we don't want to attract everyone, right? We want to attract.
That's huge. I was just going to say that
we want to work
exactly.
With. And that's okay if we detract the other people and we push them away, because those are probably not the people that we want to be with. So I think that's why it's so important.
Some people aren't going to like you, dude.
That's right.
Some people are not going to like you.
Most people don't like you.
Most people don't like me, but the few that do, really good friends and very cool people.
Like best friend status?
Super best friend status. Like I can't even go through the list.
Oh,
but I think we get too wrapped up around, well, I don't have 1,000, like I have 600 views, but I only have 15 likes or whatever. People get so wrapped around that. I make a habit not even to really spend a lot of time going back over old posts. I just don't. I just don't care. Because whoever, like you said, Marcus, whoever's looking and is paying attention and is whatever, they're going to be the people that are looking, paying attention, and eventually, whether, and you don't do it to leverage it, but it's also foolish to say that that's not a way that people are going to get to know you.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is just like whether, you have a blog, a podcast, other things, you're putting yourself out there, and it builds that, talk about that speed of trust and stuff. It gives them an opportunity to get to know you without having to spend hours and hours on calls, like talking and stuff. You do want to have those conversations, but it gives them an opportunity to kind of build that. And so when they do get on a call, they already know, whether, what they like or what they don't like about you.
And one thing else I wanted to kind of touch on is just this idea of adding value first. And, you gave me a really good example yesterday about, you have some kind of keywords set up on bigger pockets, right? And one of them is like UK or, England or overseas investing. And then just like you reach out to people, right? And you see like what their struggles are, what they're having questions on. And there's no like hidden agenda. Like you're just reaching out to this person to help and offer some advice and suggestions. And, the plan isn't to offer a piece of advice and then a week later ask him if he wants to invest with you. Could you kind of touch on that just a little bit on that?
Yeah, I know. So you asked like, at the beginning about adding value, and David and I took a different direction, but
yeah,
coming back to that. So, what we're talking about there is, on a few different things. So like bigger pockets, for example, my keywords, living in England myself and overseas, my keywords are England, UK, overseas, things like that. And military, because there's a lot of military that are overseas, whether it's Japan or in Europe and stuff like that. And so, I watch those keywords, and I kind of like look at the questions that are coming up. And a lot of times they're very similar. There's different questions, but a lot of times it's very similar ones, like military guys, especially, like, hey, got 2 more years overseas. I really want to get into real estate investing. Like, what can I do right now? Or how do I get started? Right. And so I try to reach out to those people and say, hey, I've done single family rentals from overseas. I've done a BRRRR from overseas. I've been a LP on multifamily syndications from overseas. I've been a GP for multifamily syndications from overseas. So I have, a little spectrum of experience from doing overseas. So try to reach out and kind of see like, what do you want to do? Like, what's your goal? Are you interested in spending a bunch of time? Do you not have a lot of time? Are you, very operational, but you have some capital, a submarine rider, they might be deployed a lot, but maybe they got some nice bonuses or something, and they want to use that passively somewhere, private land or something else. And so kind of finding out from them, like, what do they want to do? Do they want to spend some money or time, and, what strategy they want to do, and see if I can provide value and help them based on my own experiences, and really, just kind of leaning into them. And some of them I talked to once, provide some value, never hear again. Others, set up a call, and, we continue to engage for months on end. And, some do end up as investors and different things like that, but really just like leaning into them and providing that value to see if you can help. Same thing, like in, the From Military to Millionaire Facebook group and stuff, a little harder setting up keywords and stuff, but once in a while, if the thing pops up, on my social media, and I see someone asking a similar type of question, same thing, just kind of reaching out. And in fact, I mean, it's kind of similar how, I got connected with my very first partner, like back at the beginning of COVID. He had put in From Military to Millionaire, they were interested in getting into real estate. Someone said, hey, talk to Marcus. He's over in the UK. They connected. He joined the war room. We eventually became partners, so just kind of like leaning out there and trying to provide value to others first without a hidden agenda.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna butcher it. But that famous Zig Ziglar quote that is basically related to, the best way to be a millionaire, whatever, is to help everybody else achieve their millionaire dream, or whatever it is, right? The sense being, the way that you can gain the most value is find the most people that you can give value to, and inevitably that will, you don't do it for the payoff, right? It's just like a tithe. You don't tithe because of the gift that's promised, and you think that gift looks like a certain thing, right? There's no agenda to it. You just tithe out of faith. You add value out of faith, knowing that usually what happens is the value you gain from, whether it's a relationships or even if it's investment opportunities, that inevitably will be a byproduct of you adding value, because you're building all those other things too, the trust, and you're I love the intentionality of setting up the keywords, because those are the niches that the niches that you're in, right? And so if I'm overseas in England or just a military guy looking to invest, the fact that you pop up, you set that up, and that's incredible. I love that. I love the intentionality of that. And I would encourage everybody listening, find that you are that thing, whatever it is that you, whether it's, a micro market in Alabama, or you're overseas in Japan and you're doing stuff. I think there's always, you can see where you can add value, but that's the key. How can I add value to you? You come out with that question. I love that, Marcus. One thing I want to touch on is, so what about the scarcity mindset? We're both trying to raise money. We're both in the same circles. I say we both. Stu and I are like one, and you're you're the other in that equation at this point. But what do you feel threatened by the fact that we're trying to raise money for different deals and we may have the same pools? Like, how do you get past that? I mean, we're still friends, aren't we?
Maybe not after today.
Yeah, he won't talk to us again
while we're recording, but yeah. I mean, I think it's when you're first getting started, it can be, you can't have kind of that mindset. It's the same thing. Like some of my partners on the same syndications, we sometimes have circles that cross over, and we have friends that, some of them might choose to invest through them. Some might choose to invest through me. And so when, in the beginning, that can be a challenge, I think too, but I think if you let that mindset kind of take over, you're not going to get very, very far. Right. I mean, I think it impacts a lot of other parts of your business, your relationship with others. And in reality, like, I think you just have to be going back to being yourself, being natural, leaning into people, providing value. I mean, there's probably some people that like I connected through Bigger Pockets and those keywords, that I had those initial conversations, that have invested with you all, or that have invested with my partners. Right. And ultimately, I guess for me, going back to what I talked about earlier, is like, even before getting into the syndications and stuff, like I find personal fulfillment in helping others, figure this stuff out. And whether that is they invest through me or do it on their own, just the fact that maybe they didn't do it before, and now they know that that is an opportunity for them, for their families, they can spread the word to people that they work with, and helping impact people through that. Like, I find personal fulfillment in that. And I think that, if we just it takes time. Sometimes it doesn't happen all at once, but if we just do that, if we be ourselves, we provide that value and do that consistently, it doesn't matter. And ultimately it helps us together. Like if someone else invests through my partner, it's a common goal, right? We're trying to close the same property or whatever it might be. And so I think looking at it through some of those perspectives, just being consistent, providing value, then and not letting that negativity of like, I know so-and-so has X amount of money, I'm gonna try to get them in my deal versus you get them in their deal.
Yeah, dude, that's good, man. We've talked a lot about the mindset and setting up some of the tactics, but with just a little bit of time left we have, let's kind of dig into just a few more like tactics of some things that that guys and gals could do to get started in that direction of adding value, connecting, and eventually, raising money for deals, like we've started to do. What are some of the things that someone could start doing if they haven't been doing it already?
Yeah, I think, some of the things we've kind of hit, as far as like, just start producing some content, whether that's, a blog, writing social media posts. I think those are some of the, like a blog and stuff might seem overwhelming, but just like the social media posts and things like that, like some kind of content is the easy, quick action.
It's like putting yourself out there.
There's different ways to do that. I think that, I had to do a lot of things being overseas, and particularly a lot through COVID and stuff. There wasn't a lot of in-person meetup types of things, but now it's like things open up and stuff, like going to a meetup, even if it doesn't matter, if you're multifamily or something else, going to local meetups and stuff, and meeting people around your area, kind of figuring out like, starting to build that relationship and, connecting, seeing how you can provide value. And you don't know, like you might have never touched real estate or something before, but maybe you are amazing at building websites, right? There are a lot of things that maybe you were an accountant or something, you could do some like bookkeeping to some before. So there's a lot of ways you can help people that you might not think is like real estate, right? And so kind of leaning in, finding ways to add value and stuff to others, I think is important. And then you have to just let people know what you're doing, like whether you're flipping or burrs, you need private money. If you're doing multifamily, like people aren't going to take, that opportunity if they don't know that you're doing it. And so you can't, just listen to podcasts and read books and everything in your room and in your home forever and expect people to want to like invest with you. So just kind of getting out there and doing some of that.
Yeah, man, that's good stuff. So website, blog, YouTube video, podcast, social media posting, throwing yourself out there, telling people what you're doing. What about, let's see, we talked about like webinars. How about webinars?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's one I know you guys have done some in the past. I did one, in the fall, and that's a pretty easy way, right? To like, I hosted, Karine Hall from UDirect, and, you as the one kind of hosting it, maybe you need to have some like questions, in your back pocket and things like that you might want to learn, but literally just setting up a Zoom call, setting up a time with that person. They come in with a presentation and do the education piece, and then, open up a Q&A. It's like, it's not really that hard, to set that up and do it. And, from, the first one I did, there's 30 or 40 people that registered for it. And I still have it. Even after that, I have a thing on my website, right, where someone can get the recording, and that adds like people to your email list and things. So that's a great way to add people. And it might not go straight to your investor list right away, but to your email list, they follow you and stuff, and may move over to your investor list at some point in time.
On kind of a similar situation, like you could do in-person stuff too, like in-person meetups, like be the one that starts a meetup, be that go-to person that takes the effort and finds a location, maybe finds a speaker, puts it out there, put it on Bigger Pockets events, put it on meetup.com, like that kind of thing, and just be the person. You might not be the most knowledgeable on any type of subject, but like being the person that gets people together and has that meetup, I think that's a huge thing.
I've heard a lot of people, have success through that. And that's really kind of the start of our relationship and stuff as well. My wife connected us and stuff, but, I started coming to some of your meetups when you were hosting some here in Colorado a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And, that's what kind of built some of that relationship in the beginning. So, and even if, it doesn't matter if it's 4 or 5 people, the first time, just be consistent, do it. It will grow, provide value to those people, bring in an expert. You don't have to be the expert even. You don't have to be the one talking. You facilitate and bring someone else in that can talk to it and, provide value to those people, and it will grow over time.
Yeah. I've had a meetup before where like literally one person showed up and it was like, wah, but I mean, hey, made the effort. We had a great conversation, had some beers and had, good conversation about real estate. And, but you never know. You gotta try. Right.
Yeah. I think, one other thing, this isn't a way for people to go out and start right now if you haven't already, but one thing I want to say before we do wrap up and stuff is as you do get to the point of having, opportunities for your investors to invest in, one of the best ways I think is to create or maintain that list is to provide them a great experience. Right. And so that's hard to do like right now if you're just trying to get your list started, but for people to keep that in mind, and I think that's why, I start to see some repeat investors here is like, providing that value up front, that education and spending time with them. But then also, as they invest, don't let, they wire you the money, that be a transactional relationship. And like, okay, I'll let you know in 3, 4, 5 years when the syndication money is coming back, like I take a lot of personal pride when we close on a deal. I do a video, about a 2-minute video for each individual investor, and it's not a mass one to all, it's 2 minutes. So if I have 15 investors, it takes me 30 minutes, to record, and I send that video to them personally, thanking them, I send a little, investor gift or whatever. But then beyond that, the communication, we communicate like monthly with our investors, kind of letting them know what's going on at the property, the status of the rehab, the financials. And I think, if you provide that great experience for them, not only will they want to come back and invest with you, but they're going to tell other people that will want to come invest with you as well. And for you, that's really helpful, because not that I don't want to spend time on the phone and help educate. I love doing that, but it starts to take less of your time, because the people that invest with you, they start educating their family and friends and doing some of that for you as well.
Yeah, that's great advice. And to go back to a couple things. So James Clear is the author of Atomic Habits.
That's what I said. The mic just wasn't, we had some mic issues.
Yeah, no,
right
exactly.
when I dropped it.
James, if you ever are going to be on a podcast, I hope you don't hear this episode.
Or if anybody knows James
you know,
Clear, we should just reach out and get him on our podcast.
Yeah, just let us know and don't tell him about this. There's also a book that I had just read, and another partner of ours called Get Together, and I think it's free. I think you can get it free. But not important. It's about community building, and it was a really good book that highlighted, you know, some of these communities that have come together. And I think when you look to, because that's effectively what you're doing, you're building a community of investors, or you're building a community of whatever, people that just like to get together, talk about real estate, whatever it is. Right. And I think if you are authentic, you add value, but also you have a clear vision of what that thing should be. The more clear it is, the more people can really be like, yep, like that's where I want to hang out. Those are the people I want to hang out with. And you attract the people. I mean, obviously, if you're passionate about something, if I'm passionate about, you know, fly fishing, I'm going to start a fly fishing club. Actually, I think I'm going to do that. But I want to start a fly fishing club, right? And I just put out there and say, hey, I'm a dude that just wants to fly fish, and here's the times, and I'll be here. It's crazy that as it starts to get out, it sometimes can get out of control, right? If enough people just resonate with it and it's very clear on what you're trying to do. And so I think that's all built from authenticity. You know, immediately, if I want to, you know, do a fly fishing club, and really it's just because I heard somewhere that fly fishermen are rich. Well, if I go out there and I'm like casting like Stu, like it's pretty apparent, like it's not really, you know, I'm there for something. But if it's like something I'm super into and just love, like people are gonna, it just that shared passion, it ends up growing, and you're authentic and you're attracting the people that you want to be around. Right. And so I think that as you continue to do that, and that process helps you to get to know yourself better as well. Like what is real? I think it's amazing to me. It is amazing to me how many people have never asked the question, what's really important to me? And I think that really feeds into your vision and who you are and what you want out of life. But as you start to ask those questions, then you realize the people you want to hang out with, right? And you're not just kind of this leaf blowing in the wind. Like, no, I'm very hyper focused on, like, I think that's where we are now. Extremely hyper focused, not closed minded, but hyper focused on the kind of people, generally speaking, that we want to be around. And almost more importantly, the people that we don't want to be around. And I think that really is a powerful thing as you do these things, build these communities, make investor lists. Because, dude, just because someone has $1 million doesn't mean they're not going to be a huge pain in your butt, and you never want to have a beer with them.
There's
right?
some people
don't take that money.
You don't want their money. That's right.
Yeah.
Do not take that money. But you don't know that if you don't know who you want to take money from, who you want to offer opportunities to. So I think that's a great point you guys make, and it just keeps coming up, the authenticity, the you know, being who you are, and also, like, don't be too serious, right? Unless you're a serious person, then that's what you are, then be that. But, you know, be willing to be vulnerable and put stuff out that, you know, make people laugh, and have them, if you're the kind of person that likes make people laugh, put that stuff out and make them laugh. Don't be Mr. Cool Guy. I'm trying to tell my kids now, hey guys, it's not cool to be super cool. Like, you're not that cool. Like, look at me. Like, I'm cool. You guys are a bunch of turds.
Hey, go ahead.
What's up? No, go ahead. You obviously had something more important to say. Go ahead.
I do. It's much more prolific and amazing. I learned this week that Marcus used to ride bulls and was a cowboy in Missouri and has a cattle ranch and all this stuff that, like, he doesn't portray at all on any of his stuff. So maybe we need to, because
I knew that. I already knew that. I knew grandpa has a ranch 2 hours away. Like, I know my friends, dude. Maybe you should take an interest.
Why isn't he wearing a cowboy hat right now?
Because you can't iron a cowboy hat.
That's true.
Yeah. It would have got squished in my luggage from England, so I had to leave it at home.
I wonder how many people in England wear cowboy hats.
Yeah, I don't see them a lot.
No.
I did get a Stetson cowboy hat as a going away gift from when I was at Third Fleet in San Diego. All the enlisted guys, that was one of the gifts they gave me. So
nice.
That's legit, man.
I'm real. You know, they knew, but
I love it. Well, hey, I think as always, Marcus, this was kind of an impromptu podcast. You and Stu were talking last night about just some of the efforts and realized, hey man, we should do something. We should talk about this, talk about the importance of, the foundations of raising money and some of those tactics and things you can raise money. And I think it's awesome, man. I've gained tremendous value. I love podcasting because one, we like to talk and joke and all that, but man, I gained so much from every guest and you've given me, like, you've literally, my brain is going nuts right now about some of the partnerships that we currently have and the roles that I want to take on and the importance of investor relations and reaching out and where your strengths are. And so I really appreciate the value that you bring to our lives, not only as a friend and a valued a brother, but what you continue to do, the long legacy and really how appropriate that is. Cause I think you're really investing in pouring into people's lives and in so many ways as a father, the stuff you put out, with financial education for your kids, but also just as a friend and the way you pour in and are just very giving of yourself. So I appreciate you and one kind of cut Stu out of it. I think we're going to do some amazing things together.
I really appreciate it. And appreciate you guys having me. It's awesome to be back here in Denver for the first time in a couple of years and to actually get to spend some time with y'all in person.
Yeah, man. So where can people get in touch with you if they want to reach out and learn more about multifamily syndications and investing and financial literacy and everything that you provide?
Yeah, absolutely. The best place really is alonglegacy.com. It's kind of a one-stop shop. I got a page on there. It has you can set up a call to jump on. You can send me an email, Instagram, or all social media, LinkedIn, Facebook stuff is there. So whatever your preferred method of communicating, alonglegacy.com, and look forward to hearing from you.
Do you have a TikTok page?
I do not TikTok yet, but if I hang out with you guys much longer, I might make a guest appearance or something.
Yeah, so. Might have to get you a TikTok page.
I'm gonna get you a tiki-taki. We call it tiki-talking. Hey, and just so our guests don't think you're so cool bull rider guy, this dude is stationed in Colorado and has never been up to the mountain snowboarding or skiing.
This is true. I wanted to save that opportunity for you. I wanted you to have the first
opportunity.
Appreciate that. To take me. I was thinking.
Appreciate that. I'm gonna buy you. I've been seeing these things on the mountain. They're turtle pillows. People have been putting them on their knees and their butts on snowboarding. As they
sounds
go down.
like a great TikTok
I've never seen
video.
this before. Dude, I've never seen this before. And now every time I go up, I see like multiple, and it's always a turtle. I don't know. I'm sure there's a theme that it wasn't around when I was learning, but you literally buckle it on and it goes on your butt and your knees. It's turtle shells. And so when they're falling, you have a pillow to fall on. So we'll get you set up with one of those. And
I might even use that after I learn, just for fun.
Just to be cool.
I should have had one on my like head and neck the other day when we went. I should have had like a turtle pillow on my neck.
Yeah, that would have been that probably would have helped you out a little bit.
Yeah.
You should just get a full turtle suit for Stuart, just a full turtle, and you're good to go.
Good to go. All right, ladies and gents, boys. This was fun. Go check out alonglegacy.com. We'll put it in the show notes. Reach out to Marcus. He's a wealth of information, wealth of knowledge. Marcus and I are going to go hang out some more and be best friends. We're going to go. We're going to go to the Best Ever conference together and do some networking and hang out. Dave, if you want to come.
I'm just going to sit by myself. I'm going to be there sitting by myself. Like, hey, Stu. Hey, Marcus. Hey, hope you guys enjoy the conference. I'll be over here. You're dumb, dude. I'll probably meet a best friend in 5 minutes.
All right. Go share this episode. Give us a screenshot, share it on your socials. Don't share it on TikTok because we don't really have access to that. And most importantly, go fill your storehouse.
Make it a great day, friends. Marcus, good to see you. We'll see you in
an hour.
30 minutes.
See ya.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Filling the Storehouse. If you enjoyed our show, please subscribe and share it with someone you love. And if you really felt inspired, leave a 5-star review so we could continue to grow and help other Christian entrepreneurs fill their storehouse. If you're interested in creating financial freedom through real estate investing, be sure to check out our website at storehouse310turnkey.com. We'd love to serve you through our platform of building the kingdom. Just click on the contact link and we'll reply to you as soon as we can. Again, thanks so much for listening. Now go fill your storehouse and make it a great day.